Welcome to The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, a 2014 weird fiction set in 1973. We are the Telebubbies, here to deep dive into this open world horror. I'm Denise, the narrative designer, and I'll be discussing the story surrounding the game and how it's told in terms of structure, dialogue, and player interaction. The game follows Paul Prospero, a psychic detective who has received a fan letter from a boy named Ethan Carter. As the title suggests, Ethan Carter has vanished. But before we get into his disappearance, let's first get to know who he is. Ethan Carter is a 12-year-old boy with a creative imagination. He's prone to leaving letters describing fantastical stories based around his family members who ridicule him because of these. His family themselves are a mixed bag of anger issues, unfulfilled potential, accidental murder, and overall bad vibes. As Paul's investigation progresses, it seems Ethan had accidentally released a spirit onto the town, the Sleeper. This creature seemingly threatens the lives of the township and has already infected his family's minds, causing them to perform profane acts to appease it, whilst under the moniker of the Cult of the Sleeper. When his uncle Chad and mother Missy tried to sacrifice him to appease the Sleeper, Ethan escaped with the help of his father Dale. Once Paul gathers all the story sequences, the player interacts with a scribbled map of the town. It reveals that the entire events of the story and even Paul himself were all creations of Ethan. The supernatural events were a figment of the boy's mind as he lay in the sanctuary he built to escape a toxic family that regularly tormented him. His hideaway is a secret room perfectly placed inside the old, dilapidated Vandergrift mansion the family was sheltering in. Having fulfilled his purpose, Paul tells Ethan to let go, and that a new story awaits the both of them as they fade from the world. So, who is the Sleeper? There is no definitive answer to who the Sleeper is. On one hand, it's implied to be Ethan sleeping in his hole as everything burns around him. The continued insistence that it must be awoken possibly refers to how Ethan himself needs to wake up and escape the flames, which honestly kind of confused me because he was already aware that there was like a fire burning around him. That part actually, I guess it made sense that he didn't want to be with his abusive family. But why would you go to sleep when you know that the place around you is burning? Anyway, on the other hand, the creature could also be a personification of Ethan, rationalizing how his parents regularly abused him. The seemingly random acts of torment come out of nowhere as if they were possessed by evil momentarily, when in reality it's just a part of the cycle where things spike before returning to normal before the next quote incident.
Hi, I'm Juliana Yamsuan, and in this section, we focus now on the game's art design. Developed by a small Polish studio called the Astronauts, this game is a more introspective experience compared to their previous game, Bulletstorm, which focuses more on dialogue and combat. At the start, the player is greeted with the breathtaking views and seemingly haunting atmosphere of the forest. This would already spark the player's curiosity to unravel the mysteries and secrets behind the game. Later, I will further explore the game's effective use of art direction, environmental design, visual storytelling, and the technical aspects that enable it. At its core, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter embraces hyper-realism. From the realistic lighting, vegetation, and textures, it creates a grounded atmosphere that enhances player immersion. The trees resemble trees, the rocks look like rocks, and the overall world design is evident in the incredible work of the artist. Though, if we are being a little critical, you'd still see the 3D textures from the leaves if you get a little too close. Regardless though, kudos to the game artist since everything looks well detailed and realistic. The sun shines on the water, the grass sways hypnotically as the wind blows, and the light from the sun peeks through the trees, casting these realistic shadows. So basically, all of these minor design details contribute so much to the game atmosphere that the player almost feels like they're in the game. From its breathtaking views to its eerie forest, Visuals like these elevate the atmosphere. The question is, how did the game artists achieve such a design? What inspired them to create such a beautiful yet haunting place? Well, let me break it down for you. You see, the artists wanted the environment to feel completely believable. They want to make their players feel that they're journeying with our protagonist through Red Creek Valley. Now, to execute this, they used a technique called photogrammetry. And take note of this, the astronauts were among the first indie studios to use this. Very groundbreaking for an indie game at the time, honestly. Photogrammetry means they took hundreds of high resolution photographs of real rocks, buildings, and landscapes, and then turned those into 3D models with authentic textures and details. According to the lead artist Andrew, they actually went out to the forest and abandoned places in Poland to capture the materials. Afterwards, they will use a software called PhotoScan by Agisoft, which analyzes the photos until it can match every discernible detail from each image. From there, the software connects the dots to create a 3D model. But that doesn't end there. The developers worked in Unreal Engine 3, though from their release date, Unreal Engine 4 had just come out. They only used the third since they're more familiar with it. Although Yuichi wasn't originally built for open world or photorealistic environments. That didn't stop them. What they did instead was they heavily modified Yuichi's rendering and lighting systems to handle high resolution textures and large outdoor areas. They processed thousands of real world photos into optimized 3D models, then built new shaders and lighting setups to make them look natural. The team also tweaked the engine's post processing, such as the fog, color grading, and depth of field, to create that cinematic, dreamy tone. As the lead designer Adrian said, we wanted the world to feel real enough that when something impossible happens, it feels truly impossible. So, in a way, exploring Red Creek Valley feels like walking through someone's memory. The art design stands out because not only did it build a world, but it also builds emotions. A simple detective narrative to an emotional experience about decay, beauty, and loss.
Hello, I'm Harshin. I'm the sound designer for the game The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and I'm going to give you a rundown on the soundtrack What Do Ghosts Say? It's a soundtrack made by Nikolai Struinsky, a film composer who has also made soundtracks for the game The Witcher. In the soundtrack What Do Ghosts Say? Nikolai Struinsky is trying to show us supernatural score, meaning they should be overscored by cliche horror sound but rather sound more organic and near, making the scary element feel more intelligent and much more real. Clip 1. Introduction of dread. This drone creates a sense of fixed, unchanged dread, a feeling that something dark is always present beneath the surface. Clip 2. Spectral texture. Notice how this texture often blurs the line between musical notes and sound effects, making them feel organic to the environment rather than just backing track. Clip 3. Climatic tension. This climax directly illustrates the escalating psychological pressure on the player character Paul Prospero as the mysterious truth becomes too much to bear. And now I'm going to talk about one of the game's ambiences and is the church graveyard view. The clip I'm about to show is gonna tell how much peaceful and enjoyable the atmosphere is from full chaos and the paranormal activities that happens in the game. The clip also shows there is peace in and after everything that happens around us.
Good day, I am Zhealene Lucero and I'll be tackling the level design of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. The game features a total of 10 puzzles. Right off the bat, the creators make it clear that they won't hold your hand, meaning there are no objective indicators, tutorials, or direct hints. Instead, the player, as Detective Paul Prospero, is encouraged to rely on exploration, observation, and carefully finding clues to progress through the game. Puzzle 1, The Forest of Traps. This first puzzle includes exploring the forest and finding a number of deadly traps. The traps are hidden along the train tracks, in holes, and under rocks. The player must trigger the traps by stepping on or near it and use the sense ability. After successfully finding and triggering all 5 traps, it will unlock a vision revealing a note at the base of a tree that will complete the puzzle upon reading. Puzzle 2, Railcar Murder. The objective of this puzzle is to investigate the scene and solve the murder case. The setting for this scene is a train and items scattered around the train tracks. The list of clues or inspectables are a rope, bloody bits, dried grass, gas canister, a bloody rock, and a small indentation on a pile of rocks. The player must follow a trail of blood to find a guy dead on the ground. The player must find and attach a crankshaft on the train to make it move. Interacting with the body will unlock another blue vision that will display 6 orbs of light that the player must find in order to uncover all the memory. After interacting with all, the player must tag each memory in chronological order. Once completed, the case is solved and the orbits of light will dissipate and return back to the body, leaving one out that the player must follow. Puzzle 3, Spaceman. Approaching the third puzzle will also include one part of an Easter egg. Completing the Easter egg will give an achievement. The player must climb a tall hill to find a pine cone looking object on the rock that ends up being a grenade. For the third puzzle, the player must find a post with 4 lights along the woods and solve by finding the right sequence. After solving, the player will enter another vision of a spaceman where the player must follow the direction of it. A spaceship will take both the spaceman and the player. After, the player can follow the tracks until the bridge. For the second part of the Easter egg, the player must throw the grenade at the edge of the last vantage point. Puzzle 4, Fake Interiors. The player must enter the house on the left and reconstruct it room by room until successfully recreated. The player must swap the rooms until you choose the true interiors by order, and after completing this, the player will find a secret room with an inspectable document. Reading so will complete the Magician's Room achievement or this puzzle. Puzzle 5, The Witch's House. The player must visit every room in the next house and trigger every piece of dialogue around the house. This house has the exact same interior layout as the previous house. And after that, the player must explore and find a church up a hill to solve another case. Puzzle 6, Graveyard Murder. In this puzzle, the player must explore and find clues inside and outside the church. The player must find and interact with an oil lantern, a crow, a trail with an inspectable piece, a wheelbarrow, and a small structure. Finding these clues will reveal a victim with a dagger. The player must interact with the dagger and place the collected items on the corresponding places. To solve the murder, the player must find and tag all five of orbs of light in chronological order, and then the game will play a cutscene once completed. Puzzle 7, Murder in the Mines. The player must enter a cave or mine, find a way to an elevator, and to a place with a pickaxe rack, elevator, and train tracks. The player's objectives for this puzzle is to clear the rocks using the train car, grab the pickaxe and place it on the rack, call the elevator and inspect the body. After doing so, another 5 orbs will disperse from the body and the player must tag them in chronological order to solve the case. Puzzle 8, Mine Gate Maze. For the 8th puzzle, the player will continue following the path going down and entering a gate. In this maze, the player should find a board that displays the map and find a way to a room with a spiral staircase. Inspecting the body and the note will reveal the first and last answers for the gate on top of the spiral. The player must manipulate the gate to open it, and after finding the solution, the room will begin to shake, a large tentacle coming out, and the room will be filled with water. Puzzle 9, Murder at the Dam. The player's objectives are to find a tall elevator, take the scissors on top of the spool of cables, and enter the tall building. The player must interact with an overturned cup holder, the victim, fireman axe, and a wall-mounted case. After inspecting the listed items, a couple of orbs will disperse and the player must tag them in chronological order again. Find a power generation station and the case is solved. This is where the last part of the Easter egg is completed too. The player must turn the generator off, go near the shore and inspect the scuba diver, because apparently the grenade thrown at the vantage point killed the scuba diver. Inspecting the sniper rifle will complete this achievement. Puzzle 10, the Vandergriff House. Lastly, the player should find a way to the remains of the old Vandergriff house. The player will be able to sense the rotating stones and spell Corvus on it to open a nearby door to the basement. Inspect a note in front of a person to unlock another vision where the orbs disperse and tag them in chronological order to uncover the memory fragments. Inspecting the drawing on the wall will reveal all the location of Ethan's stories throughout the game. To conclude, the levels in this game are mainly focused on exploring, finding clues and items, unlocking memory fragments, and tagging them in chronological order.
Hi, it's me. I'm one of the game programmers and I'm going to talk about how the game works. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter begins with the words, "This game is a narrative experience that does not hold your hands." That single sentence defines the gorgeous world of Ethan Carter. It's a fantastic first-person exploration game that focuses on tone, freedom, and environmental storytelling. In the game, the players are allowed to do two main things: environmental interaction and inspecting clues. What's environmental interaction? Players can interact with specific objects and scenes of the dead to trigger supernatural visions. This often involves finding all relevant items within the certain radius, which can be challenging as objects are often subtly hidden within the detailed scenery. What are inspecting clues used for? Players can inspect with the clues in the particular area found. The players can use Prospero's psychic ability to reconstruct the sequence of the event leading to a character's demise. This involves placing numbered ghostly visions in the correct chronological order to witness the crime unfold.
Hey, it's me again. As 1/3 of the game programmers, I am here to discuss the mechanics. Game mechanics are the rules that guide the player's moves or actions as well as the game's response to them. In this game, the player is dropped into an open world where, as said by our level designer, they have to explore, gather hints, and disassemble chaps using a mouse and keyboard. When the player, or Paul, approaches something they can interact with, text comes out of it and floats around until the solving, as you can see in the video. Here are the controls. It uses the standard WASD for movement, Shift to run, Control to crouch, Q because there's an inventory, Q to select the previous item, and E to select the next item. Escape to go back to the game menu, and left mouse button for interact, and right for zooming in.
Now let's talk about the game structure. As stated before, the core gameplay revolves around open world horror exploration, narration, and puzzle solving. It is a player driven experience where the player sets their own directions, actions, and interactions without the game indicating objectives or hints. The structure of this game is best described as non-linear, meaning the objectives in this game does not require to be completed in a specific order. However, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter only has one ending and is narratively fixed, even though it is non-linear and an open-world experience.
My name is Omar Hanan, and I'll be doing the producer's role for this project. The producer's role is centered on protecting the quality and vision of this game. It's about balancing budgets, deadlines, and human beings to ensure the team can deliver the amazing visual story they promised, fueled by the astronauts' unique philosophy. Essentially, the producer is the team's shield and biggest cheerleader. This means fighting every day to make sure the artists and programmers have the time they need to make the game gorgeous, even if it means saying no to new, exciting ideas that would throw off the schedule. It's about spotting when someone is working too hard, making sure we spend money wisely, and creating a workspace where everyone feels supported enough to bring their best, most creative selves to work. The core idea behind this game is creating an environment that simply feels right to the player. The developers realize that conventional game art uses textures that tile and repeat, and the player's brain subconsciously notices it as unnatural. Think about walking into an old house. Every crack, stain, and a bit of wear and tear is unique. But in a lot of games, you see the exact 3 bricks repeating down a huge wall, and even if you can't quite place it, a little part of your brain says, that's fake. The team wanted to eliminate this feeling entirely, so the player could just melt into the mystery without constantly bumping into the technical limits of the environment. The team is hardworking and dedicated to creating complexity where wear and dirt on surfaces make deep sense. They even use motion sensors to capture accurate, subtle movements to ensure the player's presence in the world feels real. This isn't just about putting in hours, it's about passion. They spend countless time meticulously crafting the detail, knowing that every scuff mark and every piece of moss has to tell a quiet story. And it goes beyond looks. They capture motion sensor data so that when the detective walks, he doesn't feel like a stiff action hero, but like a real person slowly exploring a dark, uncertain place. It's all a part of making the game feel completely believable. The artists spend weeks gathering media in nature, capturing hundreds of photos of rocks and terrain. As shown on their blog, these raw photos are processed into high-detail 3D models used in the game. You have to understand the level of dedication here. The artists were out in the elements, sometimes spending days just photographing a single boulder from every angle. They took those raw images and using special software turned them into gorgeous realistic models you see. It's what lets them skip the guessing and go straight to getting the exact details of a real-world object into Red Creek Valley. The producer emphasizes that the assets are not traditional computer art, they are reality itself, captured and placed in the game. This detailed approach, which captures every crack, stain, and erosion, ensures that Red Creek Valley feels authentically realized. This means when you look closely at an old stump or a piece of rock, you are seeing the result of decades of real-world weathering. It is reality transferred directly. However, the developers deliberately chose not to pursue full photorealism. They put all of that reality into the game, but then they apply a special styling and a lighting to support the game's tone as a weird fiction game, not a documentary. They want the world to feel incredibly real, but with a palpable, haunting atmosphere that supports the unsettling nature of the mystery, which fits the story perfectly. The studio maintains a robust communication strategy, utilizing its blog as an essential feedback loop for the community. The developers actively encourage players to report bugs and share detailed impressions because player feedback is treated as a core design resource. This direct line of communication is vital for a small team, allowing them to quickly address bugs and immediately refine the player's experience based on real-world testing. This attention to detail is already paying off. Early critical reception and internal playtester feedback have been overwhelmingly positive. Reviewers consistently praise the world, calling it visually stunning and groundbreaking, and the most photorealistic environment ever seen in a narrative adventure. Furthermore, the atmosphere is frequently described as unsettling, mature, and gripping. 2 infographic pictures was put out from the team just a month after the game was launched. It was basically a celebration of their initial success. Like that graphic showed them that their hard work was absolutely worth it. They had incredible numbers, like a huge volume of positive reviews on Steam. It wasn't a pretty scene of the Red Creek Valley, but it was a picture of success, and it validated their entire philosophy of putting quality, atmosphere, and the player's experience first. Regarding marketing, the developers initially held back, noting that releasing a full trailer built on Discovery would spoil the story. However, as the launch approached, they knew they had to show their amazing visuals to the console audience. While they were careful to preserve major plot points, they successfully created high-impact trailers to showcase their photography, techniques, and the world's atmosphere without giving away the final mystery. They prioritized the final player's experience, only releasing the trailer when it was absolutely necessary for the console launch.
Hello, it's me again for the last time. I'm here to give my analysis of the overall game. And as the narrative designer, I do have a few things to say about the story. First of all, I think overall it's sad, of course, but it's good, and I think that it's realistic. Especially, with how Ethan dealt with the trauma, the abuse he faced, how he reacted to that, I think was realistic, making up stories, escaping into this world. Because when you have problems in the real world, you face like all these things, upsetting things. As humans, we tend to want to escape to a haven, to a safe space. So for a lot of people, that's the internet. They go to the internet to escape whatever problems they have in their real life. Whereas there are people who, there's this term called maladaptive daydreaming, and that's what I think Ethan did in his last moments. That's how he made up this whole story of Paul Prospero, the detective, and like I myself have done similar things. Although I didn't make up like a horror story with the sleeper, this evil like shadow entity that's poisoning my family's minds. Although I never did that, I would like make up scenarios, like happy stories to like, deal with the expectations of certain things, and like how I imagined how I wished, I guess, that I would interact with certain people. Another thing I liked about it is that I was told in this non-linear way, right? Because Paul Prospero is a detective, so he has to find clues and piece together puzzles to get the whole story, whole plot. And like, I myself am a fan of puzzles, of detective-related things, solving clues, figuring out problems. That's something I really like, and I grew up watching Scooby-Doo and like other like, similar characters, and so that's something I appreciated. I love that mechanic of non-linear storytelling. So overall, I think it's a good game, and I will definitely play it myself when I have the time.
What makes The Vanishing of Ethan Carter stand out is how its art and design pull you straight into the world. The photogrammetry, the lighting, and textures look so real that the supernatural moments feel like they're happening in an actual place. Still, there are a few areas that could improve. Some close-up textures look flat, the lack of guidance can make you wonder more than you'd like, and a few visual moments aren't as strong as others. Unreal Engine 3 also shows its limits with things like texture pop-ins. So if the game were to be updated, I'd prefer it has more interactive environmental elements, clearer visual cues, and sharper close-up details. But overall, the art direction is incredible, and this pretty much turns a simple mystery into something atmospheric, emotional, and memorable.